Hi, welcome to the next section in this course. In this section, we will move on to the next phase of the project. So in this phase, we will identify the APIs that are needed to build for the organization in the project. And once identified, we will have to split the API implementations into three layers by deciding which API fits in what layer, right? So that means we will assign each of the identified APIs to one of the three layers of API-led connectivity. Once that is completed, then we will mark the APIs that are reusable, which can be reusable either within the LOB or across the LOB. Okay, so we have to mark them so that we can use the same one in different kind of API implementations. And at the last, we will publish the APIs and related assets for reuse. Okay. As this is a critical exercise, as a platform architect, you will have to spend most of your time in this phase of the project. Okay. Previously, in the last section, which is also a previous phase of the project or early stage of the project, where you will have to play a role or help the organizational staff or teams to align the IT operations and then establish the C4E and then decide what are the deployment models and also the other stuff, right? The platform architecture, organization structure, access control, etc. So that is the first phase where the foundations are established. So in the next phase, you will have to again play a very key role. In the previous section is also it's a key role, but this is even more critical role area where you have to focus most of your time. Okay, because the reason is identifying and assigning the APIs to relevant layers is a very important part in the project. What I mean is when I say it's a very important part in the organization or project, what I mean is this particular piece will become a very base foundation. Okay, because the success of a platform architect, the success of you will depend on how well and deep he or she can analyze and identify the APIs and assign them to the right layers. Okay, so this is a kind of one-time job, right? Yeah, it is a revision one. There are revisions definitely, but at a bird's view, this is a one-time thing at a very higher level. You cannot go and again disturb this too much when we deeply go into the middle of the project phase. In the early stages, we can realign. Even in the middle of the project stage or in the end, a small alterations are possible, like deprecate one system API, remove one system API, replace with another, or small alterations or small orchestration changes. But you cannot go and disturb the whole thing, right? So this is a very important portion or phase. So in this process, the primary focus of yours should be first on the functional architecture. Okay, so while identifying and assigning them the APIs to the layers, the first focus or primary focus should be the functional architecture. You have to understand the business knowledge of your organization and project. Once you understand the business knowledge, functionally you have to segregate them into APIs. What way is the better way, how many APIs will be there, and how whether the APIs are in atomic nature or not, modularized or not, all these things in a functional aspect. Once that is done, then the next immediate focus of yours will be on the non-functional requirements. Okay, the NFRs. So to make sure that with this identified APIs, how do we meet the non-functional requirements like performances and the SLAs and etc. Okay, so what we are going to do in this section is, because this is more of a theoretical thing, right? Not like a demoable thing, okay, like I showed in the previous section. So because theoretical thing, to make it bit understandable or easy for us to compare and understand, what we are going to do is we will take one use case scenario, okay, and then we try to do the process we highlighted above, which are like identifying the APIs, assigning each of them to the different layers, and then publishing them. Okay, so what I have chosen, hopefully thinking that you will understand easily, is a sales order process for a particular logistics company, let's say. Okay, so in this sales order process, I am taking a scenario of use case, which is creation of a sales order. So what you are seeing in front of you now is a very high level current business process which the organization has, where they have exposed their create sales order as a SOAP or WSDL and as a REST or JSON API, and they also have a file based interfaces. Okay, so they can receive orders in any of this manner. Some of the customers of the logistic company place the sales order, I mean creation of the sales order via a SOAP web service, and some of them place via REST JSON API, and some of them to the file-based interface. Then what happens in their business process today is that once they receive the order in any of these particular manners, file, SOAP or REST, the key contents are the customer will place his customer ID, their customer ID, okay, which is the customer side ID. So represent themselves as, yes, this is my order. They put one customer ID, and then they also put the shipping location where the order should be shipped to, okay, because the customer may have multiple branches or locations, so or stores, so they have to put the shipping location ID telling where they have to ship where the logistics company should ship the order. And the last ones are the items that they want to order. Say they want to order particular items, it could be phones, laptops or any other matter for that aspect, okay. So the item numbers should be placed. So the thing here is, when customers place their orders, they always use the IDs of these which are from their side, mean they're external to the logistics company, okay. So they maintain, every customer maintain their own customer ID, item numbers, and then the location IDs. So they place the orders using their customer ID, location ID and the item IDs. So what the logistics company has to do as part of their business process is to first convert those particular external IDs into their system IDs, which are their ERP IDs. So they have an existing XREF system, which is a legacy system, where they maintain the XREF for the external IDs and their ERP IDs, okay. So they have to first validate that customer ID that is in the request to see whether it's present in that XREF or not. If it is not there, which means it's like a invalid customer or unknown customer, so they can reject the order or suggest the customer in the response saying sorry, customer ID not found or something like that. If it is present, they'll convert it into the system ID there and then, okay, in the canonical transformation. Similarly, they validate the item ID, shipping locations against the XREF system. If all three are good, then they proceed with the next step, which is the creation of order in the ERP. Once the order is created in ERP gives them back a sales order number, which is then again shared as part of the response to the customers. Alright, so we will pick this scenario and we will walk through this scenario to do the steps we discussed above across this section. Okay, thank you.